What up? First name Josh here, man. This is a channel where I pretty much talk about Japan, Atlanta, and anything that's on my mind, whether it be anime related or socially. So, in this video, sorry, I'm new to this intro thing, but in this video, I'm gonna be talking about my experience dating a Japanese woman, and this was not in Japan. This was in America, bro. Now, a couple of things that you need to be prepared for as a black dude is the looks. Okay, everybody's gonna be looking. Everybody's gonna have something to say, and honestly, if you know America's history, a lot of the times when you're doing well, they always tell black dudes that, oh, he's gonna switch up, or he's sold out, or something like this, something like that. That's one thing that like really gets on my nerves. So before I get into it, I just need to talk about that part. That's something that really gets on my nerves, because like black dudes in America got the most policed dating preferences out there. Like, we have the most police preferences, bro. Like, everybody has something to say, whether it's a black woman,
Oh shit. Here we go again.
whether it's a black dude, whether it's your parents, whether it's, I don't know, anybody, everybody comments on black men's preferences, and they just don't be understanding that, like, you know, maybe it's not just about race, maybe it's about treatment, because treatment is something that I got really good in this relationship. I'm not gonna lie, probably my S tier relationship, dead serious, scaled very well. But so here's the thing, the way that I met the girl is Instagram. Ironically, I don't use Instagram for that at all. If I slide into your DM, it's not going to be to holler at you. It's going to be probably to comment on something that you may have posted. Now, with that being said, we followed each other for maybe some years, and she used to only post her art, never posted her face. But she followed my page because I also did graphic design, and I liked her art. I liked her art. So I followed back, and I used to throw art events. So artists in the city knew me. Easy. Simple. With that being said, after that, she started unlocking pictures on her page and maybe, I guess, going out in public. So we met at a popular anime event in Atlanta, and I saw her and I recognized her, like, hey, aren't you such and such? And don't we follow each other? Because we had talked in comments before. She was like, oh, yes, we do. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, and then I introduced myself in Japanese. She could speak Japanese. So we were talking in Japanese. It was cool. So after that, I was like, okay, I think we got a rapport now. We're friends or something. And so I invited her to a cookout that I was doing in the park. Long story short, I invited her there. She came, just chilled for a little bit, then left. It was super simple. I thought it was completely platonic. Second hangout, um, I went to her art show, right? I went to her art show, and it's a group art show, so it wasn't just her. It was her and other people there. So cool. Went to the art show and just supported, took pictures, showed face. You know, the basics, right? In the third hangout, I was talking about this anime, Lupin the Third Fujiko Mine. If you want to put a girl onto anime, watch Lupin the Third Fujiko Mine. It's about Fujiko, and it is such a good anime, bro.
Theft. It is an especially sweet vice. More elegant than vandalism and more complex than simple robbery. A beautiful blend of secrets and crime and mischief and fear. Why am I this way?
It's such a good anime, dog. It's so beautiful. Actually, modern Lupin the Third is actually beautiful. It's just not highly publicized, but man, A1 anime right there. 100% recommend that y'all do that. So we were watching that, and I think that was the night that she asked me to be her boyfriend, and I was like, okay, because I wasn't talking to nobody, I wasn't even doing anything, and it caught me off guard. Like, well, I didn't even think that we were like, I didn't sense like the talking stage wasn't there, like nothing. It just was like kind of a confession, like, I like you, and I was like, okay, I'd be cool with that. You know, I had thought about it, like, yeah, I'd be cool with that. Why not? And so, same day, she was like, okay, cool. And I was like, all right. So we finished watching a couple episodes. I'm getting sleepy. It's time for me to go. And she was like, wait, where are you going? I was like, oh, well, I think it's time for me to go home. She was like, well, did you think you were going to come over here just to watch anime? And I was like, well, yeah.
You serious?
You know, I bought food, I bought drinks, she cooked. It was just chill time. I enjoyed it, you know? She was like, no. And I mean, you can pretty much use your imagination for what happened after that.
I'm like, I'm leaving here with something.
Now, with that being said, I would say the pros and the cons of dating a Japanese woman, okay? Because that's how I met my girl. She was cool. And I think the pros were that, like, she wasn't very materialistic like Western people. They're super materialistic. At the time that I met her, I worked in a warehouse, okay? I worked in a warehouse. I was transitioning job, like, fields. So I wanted to be more into tech. I have a background in computer information systems. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do something, but programming wasn't for me. So I decided maybe I should do, like, sales. So that's what I did. I took a boot camp. I did sales. And I got into a private equity firm, which is crazy. That's not what I was expecting for my first sales job, as a private equity firm. But I did that. And guess what? She was a rider through the whole thing. She was a rider before I had my own spot. She was a rider when I was at the warehouse working overnight. She would study with me when I would study. She would just sit there and maybe read a book next to me, or just work on some art next to me, because I was quiet. I was just listening. I would wake up super early in the morning. I'm talking about like 8 o'clock on a Saturday. And she would just sit next to me. She would sit next to me and she would study. Then she would make me breakfast and she would go to the gym with me. Super duper supportive, man. Super supportive. And she did this thing. It was like soft accountability, right? It wasn't like, oh, you said you were gonna do this, so you should do it. It was more like, hey, like a gentle push and a gentle reminder, like, hey, did you do this thing? And then I'd be like, oh, no, I didn't. She was like, well, when are you gonna do it? You know, you could do it here if you want. And she made the space available for me to do what I need to do. And that was something that's very foreign to me, but it's also something I really, really appreciated. Like, I loved that kind of partnership with a girl. Like, seriously, I love it. I mean, she was always cooking and then supportive, did not care, no materialism whatsoever. And that made me want to treat her nicely, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it made me want to treat her nicely, because she was super, super duper nice, super duper understanding, and I really like that. Now, with that being said, it does come with some unfortunate downsides. I'm not going to get into all the details of my relationship. Maybe that'll be for a Patreon video or something like that. But this is what I will say, is that I think most of the times history is important. History is super important. Now, with that being said, she had a longer history than me. She was older than me, and not just a little bit older than me, like a decent bit older than me, but she was still fine. Like, she was still fine AF. So the issues were, she already had kids and she had already been married and divorced. And for me, I really didn't like that. I can't see myself as a stepdad. I won't ever be a stepdad. I don't care what happens. Under no circumstances will I be a stepdad. And that wasn't really much of an issue for me, because I already knew that, like, hey, she's gonna be separate. That's cool. The issue for me was that I could not have my own kids with her, because she was of that age. She couldn't have kids. Everything was percolating, but she could not have kids, and she didn't want to. This was something that, like, I really was like, wasn't 100% sure about. Well, just wasn't 100% sure about. The second thing was not understanding what it is to be black in America. Like, when you're dealing with a girl, they need to have a very aware understanding of what your issues are and what you go through. Like, they need to have an understanding of that. And the reason I say that they need to have an understanding is because people make remarks all the time. And like I said at the top of the video, black men's dating preferences are heavily scrutinized by everybody. Everybody feels like they can have a say in that conversation about who black men date.
One eternity later.
Getting them looks, you're gonna be getting these stares, you're gonna be getting all of this. So with that being said, I was just kind of like, man, okay, whatever. You know, it just is what it is. But she didn't really understand the impact of that. she didn't really understand the impact of like any of that stuff. Like she just doesn't understand any of that. Because in Japan, they're homogenous and they don't really look at things from a racial perspective. They look at it from like a nationality perspective. Like, oh, I like Americans, or oh, I like French people, or Australians, or I don't know, European people. Like they think about it like that for nationality purposes, not necessarily like, oh, you black and I'm Asian and there's this thing. Like, no, that's not how they think about it. So I would say that that was a big thing for sure. And you have to be patient with that, because honestly, when you come from a different country like she did and only live here for X amount of time, it is very difficult to understand like these underlying racial dynamics with people's comments, you know. So it is what it is. Now, with that being said, that's pretty much my experience dating an Asian woman, a Japanese woman. What were like y'all experiences like? Have y'all dated a Japanese woman before? What was that like? That's kind of what I want to know. Like, what were y'all experiences? Is it comparable to this? Y'all let me know down in the comments. But this is pretty much the video, so I'll holla at y'all boys next time.